Hi there, welcome to Homekeepers. So glad to be with you today. If this is your first time, my name is Arthelene Rippy and we talk about the home. And I don't know very many subjects that are more important than that, do you? And so we're glad to have you, and the regular viewers, kisses to you. Thank you for all you do for us. And we are very, very fortunate to be able to have a program like this on Christian television where so many the great decisions are made for human beings is in that home. And the Lord gave us a plan, kind of a roadmap as to how to do that. It's called the Bible. So that's what we're all about. And hope your home is really going good, and want you to know that no matter what's going on, you do have the privilege to pray about it. I pray for my family every day. I have 9 great-grandchildren. I can pray for all of them, and I don't even need a checklist. I know all their names. Isn't that great? And so don't forget you have all that available to you as you are navigating this family through this world. Well, I've said many times the Lord sends us the most wonderful guests. My guest today is Pastor Tyrus Hinton, and he's written a book called Baby Steps, and it's even got the print of a little baby's foot. You know how that is in the hospital, they put their print on there. Well, that's what this is. And this is all about grief. And he's had great grief in his life. And I was talking with him before we went on the air, and it's like everybody faces grief a different way, and they have to find their own way. But he gives you what I think is really a good roadmap, because God doesn't want you to stay in it forever. So you're going to enjoy meeting Pastor Hinton, and going to join Stephanie. We're going to fix a colorful vegetarian linguine. This is one of these wonderful dishes, quite healthy for you, and you can do it so quickly. So we'll show you how to do that. But I want to talk to you again about this book, Living Courageously by Joyce Meyer. I go through some of the chapters, the fear of lack, the fear of losing control, the fear of not being wanted, the fear of being inadequate, I'm afraid I'm not doing enough. All of those things, probably we've all faced those things somewhere or another. And I believe Joyce Meyer is one of the best disciplers in the body of Christ. And what a blessing she is. You can have this book. You can see it's a beautiful book, hardcover, for that gift of $23 to the program. We'll get it right out to you. I am a great believer in these kind of books. I think sometimes you find a nugget of truth in them that absolutely changes your life and puts you on a different path. So you can order it if you want to call us, 1-800-229-0059, or you can write to us. The address is on the screen. That's Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida, 33758. And I'm over here with Stephanie, and what's on your phone?
Guess what I'm doing?
She's texting is what she's doing.
I just bought a Christmas present. I came across something. I knew I had to buy it right then, so I just bought a Christmas present.
We're doing television here. What's the matter with you?
But because Christmas is coming, okay, and you wanted me to do a little show and tell today.
This is the most extreme you can get on Christmas.
I'm really not. I've seen more extreme, but hold one side of this. I've never
met more extreme.
This is, you wanted me to do a show and tell of my new shower curtain.
That's a shower curtain with a Christmas tree on it.
Isn't that beautiful?
It really is pretty.
And it's beautiful colors, and so there you go.
She is our Christmas girl.
I'm not shoving Christmas down your throat. I'm just enjoying my joy.
Okay.
That's all. Okay? That's all.
And she's also very efficient and has everything done early.
Yes. Okay. So we have colorful vegetarian linguine. So we have zucchini, we have mushrooms, tomatoes, green onions, garlic, salt, pepper, linguine, and cheeses. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in here.
Do you know why I like this kind of meal? It doesn't feel like a brick in your stomach.
Yes. So good for you.
So we're going to saute these.
Going to saute it a little bit. Mushrooms. I'm just going to put all the veggies in. So yummy. So fresh.
Yep.
And you could put any vegetables in here really that you wanted. I'm a big broccoli lover. I might put some broccoli in here.
I'll never forget something that
green onions.
President George Bush Sr. said.
Yes, you.
He didn't like broccoli, and he said, "I am the President of the United States, and I don't have to eat it."
He was right. I was so worried about
forgotten words.
No, you remember that every time I mention broccoli.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny, so cute.
Funny. We got garlic and salt and pepper.
And I'm cutting up some fresh
basil. You can't get anything better than fresh herbs.
Right.
So yummy. So where are you? So we're at the beginning of November when we're taping. Where are you in the Christmas situation? Because I know you had started earlier. You had bought a few gifts. Do you even know where they are? You do?
Well, yeah, sometimes I bought them and hidden them and I can't find them until after Christmas.
Yeah, see, people ask me, and I have a specific closet, a specific area, everything, and a list. That's
on your computer, I bet.
No, the list is in a notebook.
Okay.
Because I can, I carry it around with me when I'm shopping.
Well, you're the best I've ever met. I've got to say that.
Well,
and I hope you're inspiring some. You know, I've read a couple times. Of course, everything you read on the internet is true.
It's true.
Yes. That people who begin Christmas earlier are happier.
Mine is for my peace of mind, honestly, because I just want to know things are getting done. It would keep me awake at night if I didn't have things done. That's all. Just for my peace of mind and my joy.
Do we put a little of this on here?
We can put it.
Are you going to mix it in?
I was going to mix it in, but whatever you want to do.
Okay, but it's too much for that. You don't want to use all that spaghetti.
Okay. And you need to saute this a lot longer. I'm speed cooking. Everything's going to, although you like your vegetables crunchy, so we're good. And then you're going to, before you bite it, you're going to put some cheese on it.
Oh, you better believe it.
Before you bite it.
I put a little more linguine in there. But for me.
Well, I was.
There we go. All right.
She's so bossy.
I get excited about a meal like this because
it's so yummy.
It settles in good.
Yes, and just the vegetables alone would be good. And you could do these vegetables with rice.
Yep.
With spaghetti squash. And if you wanted to do the zucchini in the spiral, it would act like the spaghetti.
Yeah, that's...
So that's Parmesan.
And that's the mozzarella, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Or provolone. It's supposed to be provolone, but whatever you bought. Provolone.
See, I want to get a vegetable in here.
Yes, that's going to be a nice crunchy vegetable, so be careful. That's lovely, Miss Arthelene. That reminds me of...
My mom said never do that.
You got cheese right here? There you go. Okay, you're good.
That is
It's so delicious, right?
I'm trying to think out what flavors it so much. Must be
garlic,
basil for one
basil. There was lots of butter in the pan.
I would say for me it's
So
absolutely delicious. And if you would like to have this recipe, that information is coming up on your screen, and there's several ways you can get it, and it's explained there. So hope we hear from you that way, and I want you to meet Pastor Tyrus Hinton right after this.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, you may receive it by contacting us through social media as listed on the screen. When requesting a copy through the mail, be sure to include a self-addressed stamped envelope. Thank you, and please know we always appreciate hearing from our viewers.
Okay, it's my privilege to introduce to you Pastor Tyrus Hinton, and he is in a church in North Carolina and also the author of this book called Baby Steps. Welcome to Homekeepers.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here with you. Thank you.
What is the name of your church?
So I'm at World Overcomers Christian Church. Our senior pastor is Pastor Andy Thompson, and I'm one of the associate pastors there.
And this is in Raleigh?
In Raleigh and Durham, North Carolina. We have two locations.
What a beautiful, beautiful state. Glad to have you. And you are in that, it's a very large church, I understand, and you're in that pastoral care?
Yes, I'm on the pastoral care side.
That's so perfect for you.
That's my gifting.
It is.
That's my gifting.
It really is. I want you to tell the audience your story.
So,
and then we'll get into your reasons for the book. And
sure. So 20 years ago, my wife and I, we lost a son to childhood cancer, a form of leukemia called acute myeloma or myeloid leukemia, which is the most aggressive form of cancer that a child could ever have. In that, when we say in the most aggressive form, that particular cancer does not come in stages. It has one stage, and that's aggression. That's all. The leukemic cells are constantly, the red blood cells are constantly wiping out the white blood cells.
How long from the time you knew it until he was gone?
16-month diagnosis, 8 months with the disease, and then he won the battle. He won the battle after that 8 months. So that's our story. So what we have in turn done, my wife and I, is we said we would not grieve as those that have no hope. That's what the Bible tells us, that we do not sorrow as those that have no hope. And I know that there's so many people that watch your show, that are viewing, that are maybe have found themselves in the same situation where you may have lost a child or a loved one or a spouse or, you know, someone very close to you, and you're saying, man, how do I get over this? Or someone who's potentially been diagnosed with such a I hate to call it disease, but that's what it is. Cancer is a blood disease, and you need to know how to navigate through it. Well, that's what I do. That's what Hinton Cares Foundation is all about. That's what Pastor Tyrus is all about. That's what the Baby Steps to Book resource is all about, helping people navigate through these cancer diagnoses.
Now, you've had one yourself.
And I've had one myself. I was diagnosed with cancer. Now, get this. I was diagnosed with cancer in August of 2017. I released this book in June of 2017.
Wow.
Right.
You wrote it for yourself.
Pretty much how to get through that diagnosis. So where we are in the process is we are on the side of, hey, we know what it is to go through it. We've done it twice. We can help someone else get through it. We can help you navigate your way through this process of diagnosis. That's why we call it baby steps, because you're taking baby steps through this process. You're not going to be able to eat it all at one time. You're going to have to take small bites, kind of like you when you were eating a little bit earlier. You got to take small bites. So that's what it is.
Also, I don't know if it's a chapter, but you're right at kind of the beginning, you say, just breathe.
That is the first chapter of the book, is just breathe. And what's important to me is that people understand that this is a process. And you cannot take it all at one time. You have to slow your pace. You have to inhale and exhale. You have to practice some exercises that you might not normally do. The reason why I say breathe is because our first reaction to bad news is to panic. Even those of us that are full of faith, it is so easy for us to panic. But what I want the people to do is I want you to breathe. I want you to relax and trust in the God that you know, who has all power in his hand, who has all things in his hand, and he has it all in control. It's interesting that you would ask me that. I brought my iPad. I usually don't have to bring it on set.
Oh, help yourself.
But
That's
I
fine.
brought
We
it
want
with
you
me.
to be comfortable, sure.
I brought it with me because I wanted to read you a letter. And this is a letter from the hematology division of the hospital where my son was at being treated. And she writes to my wife and I, Baby Steps is so thoughtful and well presented. The ideas you develop from your experience are definitely of value. Whether a parent decides to adopt one of them or just some of them, you realize and emphasize the points of anxiety and as an overwhelmed parent. I cannot thank you enough for such a thorough resource. And this is from the hematology coordinator from 20 years ago when my son was diagnosed.
And who sees this all the time?
Who sees it all the time. She was, her final statement she made, though, and I think that this would be helpful. She says, I wish I could have provided you with this resource when I first met you. And I said, Lord, there's the purpose. That's why this was written, because someone else is going through this right now, and they don't know how to navigate their way through it. And now this resource can be in hospitals everywhere without reservation because the steps are good. The social workers can share it. It even helps them to build another level of empathy and understanding of what the parents are going through on the other side of it, or what the patient is going through. So, of course, I'm a faith-driven, I'm a pastor, I'm a Bible belt preaching, I'm a towel-carrying preacher. I love it, yes. Amen, every step of the way. At the same time, that experience taught me that there are people that do not have the faith that we have, but God has called me to be the bridge.
Yes, and you're all of that, but you're still human.
I'm still human.
And you're still a daddy.
I'm still a father with a father and a husband of 25 years. My wife has been kind to me to stick by my side all the way through it, and I've stuck by her side. And there was a grief element to that. I didn't understand grief could be something that you're experiencing while the person is still alive. It wasn't until I went through it. I didn't understand that people are grieving on a daily basis.
Yeah, can you really describe what it's like to lose a child? I have 2 children. They're both cancer survivors, and I'm so thankful. But there have been physical issues like most families.
Oh, yes.
But you lost one, and you knew with that disease that unless God performed an absolute miracle, and He does those as He chooses.
As He chooses.
And what it's like to know that this little boy of yours is not going to be here.
Well, Arthelene, I think there's a part of it that is our perspective and our understanding of the Scriptures. All right? The Bible tells us to live as Christ, to die as gain. I know I don't have to preach the Bible to you. You the Bible yourself. And our perspective of our son was not that we lost him, but that he was healed. And that's what made the difference from my wife and I. Whereas maybe other parents have lost children and they don't see it as healing. We saw it as complete healing. My son had been through so much. His little body had taken all it can, the chemotherapy, the radiation, the different clinical trials that they were doing. His body had taken so much. My oldest daughter, was his bone marrow transplant. She was the donor. So even after the transplant, his body still just couldn't take anymore. And I said, Lord, heal him. Heal him. Heal him. And He did it. Now, were we upset? Absolutely not. We were not upset at all. While people felt sorry for us because we were so young, we were in our early 20s, so people were like, oh my God, this young couple has no clue. And I was thinking to myself, no, you have no clue. We have an understanding that our son has been healed, and there is hope for us, and there's freedom for him.
Well, I would say you actually lived the Scriptures, where some people, and all of us, I think, in that category at times, we can quote it.
Oh, yeah.
We know it.
Oh, yes.
But you actually lived it. I so often think, because my mom went to my dad's grave every day for years, and I thought of that angel that said to Mary, why are you seeking the living among the dead?
Yes.
Yeah. He gives us so many scriptures, so many words on that transition. But in your ministry, I'm certain that you come across people that I would say, maybe for lack of a better way to say it, that are really stuck.
Oh, yes.
And some people stay that way all their lives when they've lost someone near to them. Yes. And that's not the Lord's plan. That's
not God's plan. And I believe that it's important for us as faith believers to not just be able to preach the Bible to others, but to really, really embrace the Bible for ourselves. And we say that we have joy unspeakable. We say that the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. They're the earth and they that dwell therein. We have to believe that.
That's right.
We really have to believe that.
I quote a lot of them.
Yeah, but we have to believe that it all belongs to God and that He's really taking care of us and that all things really do work together for our good. To them that love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. We didn't understand it, but we knew that it was working for our good. How do I know? Because I encounter so many families right now that on a daily basis, pretty much, that are dealing with this. Hinton Cares Foundation, we serve at like local Ronald McDonald houses and things of that nature. So we have one-on-one interactions a lot with a lot of families, and they are in like almost a trance. And when they see us, they see my wife and I, and they're like, oh my God, how did you guys do it? And we say, God has been our strength. I'd say God really chose such a great vessel. I really believe that for this. If you just joined me, I'm talking to Pastor Tyrus Hinton about the book Baby Steps. We're talking about grief, and the website is on the screen right now if you'd like to
jot it down, look at it later, and see what's all is offered through this ministry. But your ministry, I would think you really have to, got a lot of knowledge, but you still have to really be led by the Spirit, because there's so many different people confront these things differently.
Oh, yes.
And I think you have to be very careful. I've told this story before, but it's so good, I'm going to tell it again. I've told it several times, and I think you'll really appreciate it. But there was a story of a little boy who became good friends with the next door neighbor, who was an elderly man. And the kid was very young. Well, the elderly man's wife died. And so the kid went over to see him and stayed a little bit, and then he came home, and his mother said, "Well, what did you say to Mr. Smith?" He said, "I didn't say anything, I just helped him cry." And I think that is, well, that's right out of Scripture. Weep with those who weep.
Yes.
So I don't know, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I say don't go in there and start quoting a bunch of scriptures to them, weep with them.
No, which further speaks to this resource that you're holding in your lap, baby steps, because that's not a bunch of scriptures that we're just quoting. That's not a bunch of scripture. This is our experience in the room and how to get through, how to navigate through those first days. That's why I said, man, it's important that people know. I keep an outline copy for myself. There are times now, even as being a cancer survivor, there are some things that I still have to deal with, some battles that I still have to overcome, and I'll look back in my own book. I'll look back and I'll be like, okay, what did I say about this? Tyrus, what are you telling people about this? So that whole yes, and that's honestly what I do. I go back to my own resource. So
you also talk about, and we've talked about on this program, Carol Kent is a wonderful writer. She's on here once a month. She has a son in prison for life. Okay. And we have really put the spotlight on prisons and prisoners' families and all. And she wrote a book called The New Normal, and you bring this up as well.
Do.
How do you explain to someone, or how do you somehow make them understand life will never be the same? Never. You're in a brand new situation right now, and this will be part of your life forever.
Right. Well, that's why I spell it out for them right here in day 4 when I say erase the routine. Just erase it. And I talk about how the idea that things are going to change at a rapid rate and you'll lose control. You won't be able to stay because, we're creatures of habit. We're used to going to the same store, the same gas station, we go the same way to work. We take our children the same way. We do everything the same because we're creatures of habit. But when life comes at you like this, you have to erase it. And I tell them, we realize our schedules will never be the same. And I let people know that when I'm having that conversation, I know you want it to be the same, but it's not. And the best thing you can be right now is flexible. The best thing you can do. And I talk about flexibility, and I talk about the idea of flexibility. I talk about the idea of getting other people involved. When you're talking about a routine, usually your routine consists of you doing your thing primarily. But when I talk about that, erasing the routine, I'm saying, let's get some other folks involved here. Let's see how we can get some help, because I won't be able to do everything independently anymore. Now I'm going to need some help. And if you can get folks to understand that, which we do, it works out so well. It works out well. It's going to take time now.
Yeah. You have a phrase here like, you say, coping 101.
Coping 101. Ooh.
Is there a lot of coping to do?
A lot of coping that you're going to have to do. A lot of coping, a lot of you just realizing that it's not going to change in this moment, so I have to deal with it, but there's a way to cope. And a way to cope is, as I've mentioned, I can't say it enough, that we just don't sorrow as those that have no hope. And sorrow is doesn't only take place at the time of death, but sorrow can take place while people are alive. And I cannot be in a place of sorrow. So while I'm coping, I'm going to choose to think positive. I'm going to choose music. I'm going to choose scriptures. I'm going to choose prayers. I'm going to choose meditation. I'm going to just choose a diverse way to handle what's going on, as opposed to, as you said, just being stuck.
I'm sure you run into people who blame God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So do you defend him somehow?
Well, listen. we don't have to defend God because he is who he is.
He is.
So we don't have to defend him.
He's his own defense.
He's his own defense.
Yeah.
But when people are angry, I had family members that were angry at God because my son was sick. Not their son, but my son was sick. They were angry at God, and they never came to visit my son. They were angry at God, and they never kept were support for us. And they were angry at God. So, you know, it took some time after my son had passed away and we had relocated out of the area. And I reached back out to one particular family member and I said, "You blamed God all that time, but you never showed up."
There you go. That is a good, very, very good response. But I really believe you've put a light on a very important topic. And I know there are thousands of viewers out there. They're going through some kind of grief.
Yes.
It is very common to the human experience. Yes. And I think that the Lord has truly, you know, raised you up to approach this and to do it from experience,
Yes.
not just from
Yes.
revelation. And as that minister of pastoral care, that is so important. Yes. And so you're dealing with what's in this book every single day.
Every day. Every day. And I believe we're following the steps of Jesus, to be honest with you, because the Bible says that he was a man of sorrow, acquainted
yes.
with grief. It didn't say he stayed there. It didn't say he lived there. He had an encounter. He was acquainted with it. He understood it, but also understood he had purpose to fulfill in his life. That's where I am. I'm a man of sorrow. I've had sorrow. I've been acquainted with grief. But I also realized that the one who was acquainted with grief before me, he bore it all. He took it all.
Amen.
He died, and when he rose with all power, he took the grief with him.
It's pretty obvious you're not stuck.
No, ma'am. No.
And
no.
I think that's really what you do. I think that's what
Yes.
your ministry is all about, because we can, the humankind gets stuck only in bad news.
Right, never in good news.
No, they don't get stuck in the joy that much. But
Right.
I am so glad that the Lord sent you our way. I just really believe you've spoken to a lot of people. And that's one reason I appreciate doing this show so much, because we can bring on ministries that you might never have run into or met before. And have you noticed, after so many years being on the air, how many the Lord has and the variety of things that he anoints that he can help us along our way. So thanks for coming. We appreciate you so much. And you please join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you should miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.